let's be real. You're very young, okay?
Yes.
When did you start surfing? Because you're pretty good.
I started surfing when I was maybe like 6 years old, but I was always kind of around the beach because my parents loved the beach.
Okay, so surfing kind of almost was a second afterthought in a way, right?
Yeah, it was almost just like my parents didn't care if I surfed or not, but it was like we're always at the beach because they loved the beach. So they're like, you guys are coming to the beach, me and my brother. So it was more of a just like, we were just started like playing in the ocean and like boogie boarding, catching waves, and then like slowly evolved into like surfing.
So you and your brother both surf?
Yeah, we're both super into surfing. My brother's very, very talented at surfing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot to be said coming from you. What for you at first, what was surfing like? I mean,
honestly, I went through a lot of other sports before I landed upon surfing. I think it was just because I didn't really like the beach because it was like cold and like sandy, and I didn't like sand. But yeah, like our parents would always like take us to the beach, so we were always around the beach, and then kind of did like BMX biking, and I did dance. I did dance for a little, and like skating, and yeah, I guess a couple other things, but then I guess I just started surfing again, and I just started to love it and just fell in love with it.
Now I understand that you were a pretty good baseball player, not softball player, but baseball player?
Oh yeah, that was another one of the sports, baseball.
You were the pitcher and the shortstop.
Yep. Yeah, I was the pitcher and the shortstop in baseball, but yeah, it was pretty fun. I was the pitcher and my brother was the catcher.
Wow.
So that's pretty fun one.
And so you were the only girl on the boys' team, is that right?
Yeah, I was.
And you were obviously competitive because you were the pitcher.
Yeah, I was very, I've always been really competitive.
And then the other thing I heard was you're into were or still are into martial arts. Does that help your surfing, that quickness?
I am not into martial arts anymore.
But you were at one
I
time.
was into martial arts, yeah.
Like really good?
I don't know.
I heard they wanted to take you on travel
really?
tournaments.
I don't know. I really liked it, yeah. Yeah, I did do a lot of push-ups. It was pretty hard, but it was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
But when did you say, okay, surfing is it?
I guess I never, when I was super young, I wasn't thinking I was destined to be a pro surfer, but I definitely loved sports, and I just always wanted to be a professional athlete of some sort, just because I loved doing sports or whatever it was. So I was I just started to love surfing, and I just loved surfing for what it was, rather than, I wasn't really paying too much attention to professional surfing or world championships or whatever. I kind of just loved to do it, so I always did it, and my brother did it, and I had some friends that did it, so we kind of just did it because we loved it. And then yeah, I think my friend said I should do a contest in surfing, and then I did my first contest, and then obviously I loved it because I was super competitive, and I did pretty bad in the contest, but I made one heat. I got through, and I was so happy. So I guess that's when I fell in love with competing and surfing too.
So
how old were you?
Yeah.
I honestly forget. I had to have been 8 or 9.
So very young.
Yeah, pretty young. Maybe 10, from 8 to 10 years old, I did my first contest.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now you say you fell in love with surfing. So for me and a lot of people that I know that have surfed their whole life, surfing's a sport, but it's more than that, right? I mean, I shouldn't say right, but surfing for me is more than just the sport. It's the whole connection. Is surfing that as well for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's this pretty like addictive thing because you're never gonna get the same wave. It's like the most unpredictable, humbling thing that kind of teaches you that you're kind of like, I just love how the ocean can kind of just show you that you're literally nothing. Like you're nothing compared to the ocean. And so I feel like just that and like trying to read the ocean. And like the other day I was kind of just thinking about how many factors have to happen for you to catch a wave. And like the ocean's moving like so quick, and there's so many kind of little things that you kind of just have to learn over time that you don't even think about like manually, but it just like automatically you just know it in your mind as you like surf more. And so yeah, I guess I just love it because I love being in the ocean, and it's the feeling of like being on a wave is pretty amazing. Just feeling, I guess, the power of a wave behind you, almost like being on a wave, just going really fast, and you're kind of just like tripping out because you're on this wave that was created by like disruption in the water, like hundreds and hundreds of miles, like thousands of miles away. So you're kind of like, whoa, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I as a meteorologist, I tell people that all the time. I'm riding a wave moments before it rolls up on the shore, but this swell was generated in New Zealand, and we're surfing it at Wind and Sea or in Oceanside.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. And then we as surfers tap into that energy at the last moment, and then it's gone. And I feel like the energy then is transferred into me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, you started to be a competitive surfer in your, you know, like 10, 11, 12. At what point did you start to really excel where you were like, yeah, this is pretty cool and I'm doing really good? What did you start thinking about at that point?
Yeah, I guess ever since I probably first did my first contest, I was pretty just into it and dedicated, and I was like a super competitive, or I was and still am a very competitive person. And yeah, just being like, I guess like I love to do this and I get to like beat people like because I'm super competitive, so it was just like pretty amazing. So I guess probably just, I don't know when I really started to like excel, but maybe when I was like 12 years old or something. Kind of, I don't know, I couldn't really tell you. It kind of just happened.
Well, so you know, in this day and age of videos and computers and coaches and all these things, as you like say, so you're 19 now, right?
18, yeah.
18, you're not even 19 yet. You're going to be 19.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. But you marched through the ranks pretty quick. Yeah, I mean, you became pretty good pretty fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I mean, if we say, let's just say you started really competing at 12 and you're 18. In 6 years, you're on the world tour.
Yeah.
And you're number one.
Yeah.
That's remarkable, right? Mm-hmm. I think anyone would agree to that. Did you have coaches or was it you interpreting the ocean at first, you know, as far as what you need to do, ride the waves? Because now you probably have coaches and things. Mm-hmm. Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so leading up to getting to where you are now, say, let's go back in time 4 years. Yeah. Were you being coached, or were you kind of just, this is what I want to do and this is my competitive spirit?
I did get a coach when I was like one of my dad's friends was a surf coach, and I just remember being like, can I please be coached by him? Like, and yeah, and then his name is John Daniels, and he's like an amazing coach, and he's helped me a lot in competitive surfing. But as far as like reading the ocean, it kind of is just something that you have to just like learn by getting absolutely like taught by the ocean. Like, it will teach you what to do, and you kind of, from like, yeah, getting a lip to the face and like getting held down for way too long, and you're like, well, probably shouldn't do that again, or just like the little things that happen where you kind of learn how to react differently or make decisions based on like what you see or feel. Like that just comes from like surfing every day and learning about the ocean. Like it's really, you can't really like explain to someone that. Like if you'd never surfed before, I couldn't explain to you how to catch a wave. Like I could try, but it wouldn't be like, I would just say like, oh, you see a wave and you paddle, but you'd have to know when to start paddling, if the wave's even gonna break, how far out, whatever. Like there's so many things that come into it, so.
It's the saying, only a surfer knows.
Yes. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, and then I got a coach and he really taught me like how to make those decisions in heats, like, because surfing a heat is way different than just surfing every day, you know, like you have to, now you're like, oh, usually you surf for around like 2 hours and you can get as much waves as you want. You can really make your own decisions, but now you have to like fit that in all these skills you've learned about the ocean into like 20 minutes, and you have to get 2 like good waves if you really want to succeed. So like doing that is really, it's really freaking hard. Like trying to get 2 waves in 20 minutes, 2 good waves in 20 minutes. Like it's hard to get 2 good waves in a 2-hour session. So you're like, oh my gosh, this is like crazy. But John really like taught me how to surf in heats and use like priority in surf competitions and just make those decisions. And we like did these kind of like little different training techniques that he would do. Like I feel like it really helped me, yeah.
You qualified for the World Surf League 2 years ago, or was it 3? I can't remember offhand exactly. But you decided not to go on the World Surf League. Is that, am I got it right there?
Yeah.
Okay, so was it 3 years ago, and then you started 2 years ago, and now this is your 2nd year on the tour?
Yes.
Okay, so 3 years ago, you could have gone on the World Surf League, but you didn't. Why?
Yeah, I guess it was just like, I don't know, just because I like felt like I didn't want to. Like I wasn't ready. And it was like a hard decision, because when like everyone's telling me like, isn't this what you like have been like working towards, or like everyone just says like, oh, this is like a dream, like why the heck wouldn't you do it? And I was like, I guess my like thought process was just like, I had wanted to make a surf movie, like, and I kind of started working on that, and I just kind of like wanted to like stay home a little bit and kind of just like focus on friends and family, really. Like I just really enjoy like being home and spending time with like the people that I care about. And I would have had to leave like 2 weeks later and be gone for like 5 or 6 months, and that's like pretty overwhelming thought when you feel like you've just been gone and doing this like overwhelming stuff for like the last 6 months, and you're about to like go again. So it was just kind of the thought of like, I'm pretty confident that I have the skills to make it back on, and I feel like it would be best for me, like my mind or brain or whatever, to kind of stay home and like maybe do surf trips for fun. And because like, yeah, like you said, it happened so quick, and I was not like expecting to do that year, you know. I was like, so yeah, it was like overwhelming, and I was like kind of just passed on it. And I never regretted it for a second, honestly.
Clearly, because as you just said, you were confident that you could re-qualify.
Yeah.
You re-qualified, and you had a pretty good year, your first year on the tour, right?
Yeah.
How? Just briefly, give me an idea how that went and where you ended up.
I guess, yeah, I got on the tour the next year, and it was pretty, like, definitely overwhelming. Like, it's a lot different than the the like qualifying series is what you do. The Challenger series is what you do before the tour to qualify for the tour, and it's a lot, like the tour is a lot different. Like everyone who's there, like they know what they're doing. Like you no longer can kind of get lucky in heat. Like you have to kind of figure out how to surf a heat properly if you want to be on tour. But yeah, so it was, the first couple events didn't go great. I kind of was pretty humbled by it. And then, yeah, I ended up like just getting on a really good roll in Portugal, and I ended up winning the contest. And then like the couple events after, I didn't do good. I like did pretty bad actually. And so it was a really like up and down year, and then the rest of the year I had like a couple good results, and then I ended up making like the final 5 at lowers, and yeah, it was a pretty hectic year.
How was it surfing in Southern California for the potential first year on the tour, potentially to be the world champ? What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty insane. Like the biggest part of it for me was trying to like convince myself that it was like just a normal heat. Like you're not trying to, like my coach at now is kind of the thought was like, don't try to win a world title on every turn you do, you know? Like you got here surfing how you do, just surf how you do. Like don't try to surf out of your skin almost, like just kind of take a step back and be like, just go out there and surf your normal heat as you would, which is like the hardest thing to, like saying it sounds so easy, but when you're like thinking that the fact that you can like win a world title in one contest, it's like pretty hard to calm yourself down. Like I had a lot of nights where I like didn't really sleep, and I was like, it was pretty crazy, but yeah, I guess I like am really proud of myself how I handled myself in my heats, and yeah, I ended up like not making it, but I feel really good. I feel really good with how I did, and it was amazing to surf a contest in Southern California because I literally could just sleep in my own bed every night and have just like familiar things around me, which I think is so useful, especially when your like mind is already feeling unfamiliar thoughts. Like it's good to have a familiar surrounding at least, because like going to these different countries and then like you're always sleeping in a different bed, or it's like not your time zone or different weather, or like there's too many things that are like not familiar. So when you're like can have just what you have usually around you, it's really helpful for sure.
So last year, were you pleasantly surprised where you ended up?
Yes, I was very pleasantly surprised.
And then you get your time off between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You do some traveling, some surfing, hanging out with friends, movies, sponsors, all those things that are now part of being on the World Surf League, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the last thing I wanted to do was travel. I kind of just stayed home, and I went on like a couple road trips. Just wanted to stay on the ground, honestly.
You were tired of flying.
Yeah, I didn't want to fly anymore, so I kind of just stayed home. Yeah, I didn't do any trips, really.
So the season kicks off, North Shore of Oahu. You're at Pipeline.
Yeah.
Considered probably one of the most dangerous, famous waves in the world, the start of the World Surf League. What happens there?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, yeah, going from like chilling at home surfing like 1 foot waves in Oceanside. And then they're like, oh yeah, you just have to go surf the like most dangerous, big, scary wave in the world. And for the first event of the season, they just push you over a ledge, and you're like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, I love that wave. It's like, it just makes me like feel things that like, no, I have not mastered it.
But you won the event.
Yeah, I mean, I ended up doing like really good there, but it's still like, it's the most, I don't know, even when it looks perfect from the beach, you get out there and you like see every bump in it and how fast it works, and you're like thinking like, I'm supposed to catch these waves? Like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, it's crazy, but it's also like so amazing, like, because of what I just said. Like, when you're that scared and your heart's racing so fast, and then you like just catch a wave and you're like, all of a sudden you're out of it, but it's like you just look at the like biggest vision you've ever seen of like a barrel. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, you said I could tell you how to paddle for a wave, but you wouldn't know how, you know, if you didn't surf, you wouldn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. Describe catching a wave at the pipeline. And if you could use the term pipeline in your description. So
walk us through the best wave of that contest.
Of that contest for you.
Okay.
Tell us what happened and drop the word pipeline in for me, okay?
All right. So if we're out at pipeline and I'm trying to catch a wave.
Let me jump in.
Oh
again,
yeah,
okay. So make it the best wave that you had during that event, okay?
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it was the finals, if it was, you know, the first round. Just give me the first wave or the best wave that you had at Pipeline at that event and walk me through it.
Okay. So the best wave I got was, on finals day. And it was like, looking really scary out there. I like didn't get any waves that morning free surfing because there was like 100 people out. It was so hectic. And so you kind of just gotta be like, imagine what you would do if you were on the wave. Like, you can't get a wave free surfing, so you kind of just have to like picture what it would be like. So I'm kind of like trying to picture what it would be like from the beach, and then I'm in my jersey like getting ready to go out for a heat. And then once I was out there, I forgot how much time was left in the heat, but it was my first wave, so I just saw this like big peak coming, and I thought it was gonna be a good backdoor wave, so I like was paddling for it. And you kind of have to take off like the waves coming in kind of as like one peak, and you have to take off like behind it. So you pretty much have to put yourself in this position where you're like putting yourself behind a wave, which usually you would never do, but when there's like barreling waves, you kind of have to do it in order to get barreled. So I guess I was paddling from deep, and then I ended up catching it behind the peak. And I was dropping in, and you're kind of just praying that your rail is going to engage into the wave, because if it doesn't, then you're just going to fall off, and you're going to get really, really, it's not going to go well for you if your rail doesn't engage. So and then my rail engaged, and I was like going into the wave, and by the time I was like could look up, I was like in this huge barrel, and it was like amazing. And then I guess that's pretty much it, and then you're out. It's like happens in like one or 2 seconds. And
but what happens when you're in that barrel? What happens to you mentally?
What happens? I don't know. You can't even, sometimes you like don't even remember because you're like blacked out almost. But I guess I remember it just being like, you're kind of just like amazed with it, I guess.
Is it one of those things where, and maybe this hasn't happened to you in life yet because you're so young, but literally everything goes in slow motion and everything slows?
Sometimes that happens,
So is that possible? Was that, when you say blackout, do you mean that everything slows down so much because the adrenaline is running through your body so fast that your senses are enhanced so much?
I just say blacked out because sometimes like if it's a really big wave, like I literally just don't even remember it. That's when I say blackout.
So you win Pipeline, okay? And now you've got the yellow jersey. What was that like to surf in the next event with the yellow jersey on?
Yeah, I guess I wasn't thinking too much of it just because it was the first event. It was the second event, so I was like, the yellow jersey really just means that I won the first event. But obviously, I mean, it feels good going into an event knowing you can win an event. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But I was trying not to think too much of it and putting too much pressure on it. Kind of just.
But it helps you with your confidence. You just won the pipeline. You're number one on the tour.
Yeah.
And now you're going to Sunset, right? Mm-hmm. And that's your predominant foot. I mean, you're a regular foot, so you're surfing a wave that's your right side. It's not like pipeline where you can go backdoor or the pipe.
Yeah.
So goofy foots have a big advantage at pipeline.
Yeah.
Regular foots have the advantage at Sunset. So you must have felt good going there at least, right?
Yeah, I did feel good going there. It's another wave like pipeline where it's like a really scary wave. It's less scary, but it still gets your heart pumping to the max for sure. And so yeah, I guess just going into it, I was feeling good.
So from Sunset, how did Sunset go for you?
Sunset, I was like feeling really good in the free surfs. Like, it's a really tough wave, and it's tough for me just because I'm so small to like try to like make my legs work on these like huge waves doing turns. So I was feeling good, like learning a lot about the wave before, and then I don't know, when I just like got in the heat out there, it kind of just feels like you're in the middle of the ocean. Like, there's really no other way to put it except that you're like, because it's so far out that you kind of are just like, it's pretty easy to feel lost out there. So I had a couple like good waves in my heats, but I ended up just like making it through a couple, but like never really feeling like I was like myself and like surfing really good. But I did good.
So from there, you went to Europe, right? You were in where did you go from Hawaii?
Yeah, Hawaii to Portugal.
Portugal, and then from there you went to Australia.
Yep.
So halfway around the world to their fall, and you're at Bell. There's a couple other events in between, but now you're at Bell's. Tell us about Bell's, and because that's, if I'm not mistaken, the oldest event on the tour or in Australia.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Yeah, it's a big deal to win Bell's.
Yeah.
Okay, just like it's a big deal to win the pipeline. I mean, these are top of the mark.
Yeah.
You're in Australia surfing Bell's. Tell us about that tour, that event, and that stop on the tour.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful place. I really like Australia, and yeah, I guess the wave is really, it's another one of those waves where you have to just go out there a bunch and just learn about the wave, because it's not an easy wave to read, kind of. It like kind of looks easy to surf from the beach, but then you get out there and you like realize that it's not that easy to surf. So it was just kind of like a learning about the wave, and I had been there last year, so I like kind of knew about it, but still like struggling a little bit. And yeah, like Tommy was like coming out there with me and surfing and like showing me kind of where to sit, and just like the little things that he's learned about the wave that is helpful to know, because you're probably gonna have to learn it yourself anyways by making the mistakes, but just so you like to just put it in your mind and make you know more about the wave. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, and then I got in the heat and I just like fell into a good rhythm, and I had a lot of like close calls like from making through heats. It wasn't like I was like 100% like doing amazing from the start of the event. Like it was like a rocky start to the event. I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like I've somehow made it this far in the event, but like I felt like I was like squeezing by every time. And yeah, I guess like, and then it was like on finals day, it was like I was just feeling really good, and it just everything fell into place. Like I don't know, there's nothing, you can't really plan anything with the ocean. Like you can have your plan that you want of what you want to do out there in the heat, but the ocean's gonna tell you what you're gonna do really in your heat. So I guess it just like fell into rhythm with myself and the ocean, and then I ended up winning.
And so if you could, again, describe maybe a good wave in the finals that really, because that's like you said, it's a really interesting wave, how it just like goes up onto dry reef on the inside. So it's an interesting wave. Describe one of the better waves in the heat that you caught.
I mean, the waves were not great for the finals. It was pretty like, yeah, not great. I don't want to say bad because it was still fun, but it was hard to surf a heat out there. And yeah, I went a lot of the heat without getting much of a score above like a 4-point ride. Like it was like a 40-minute long heat, so it was a really long heat. And Joanne didn't have that big of scores either, but she was like getting insiders and like getting better scores. So I ended up needing like a pretty big score, and then yeah, in the last like 5 minutes I ended up getting 2 waves. And like I guess in the last like 5 minutes I got 1 wave where I did like 1 big turn and kind of just milked the rest of the wave and got like, I forget what the score was, a 5 or a 6, and then like I got the ski out kind of just like thinking that's not going to be the score, maybe there'll be another wave, because you kind of, with the ocean, you kind of always have to count you kind of never should count yourself out, like, because it's the ocean, it could send you a perfect wave whenever it wants to, really. So I guess I kind of just got the jet ski out and paddled back out, and there was like 30 seconds left, and there was this really nice set, and like I ended up paddling for the first wave, but Joanne had priority, so she took it from me, and then there was like a wave after, and so I was like, with like 15 seconds left, and I was like, wow, am I really, like, this is a good wave, like, am I really gonna get this wave and get the score? And yeah, and then I ended up going up for a turn, doing like a pretty good turn, like feeling like, oh, I definitely could get the score on this wave. But it was also the craziest feeling because my legs hurt so bad from like the wave before that. So I was like, my legs were so tired, and I was like, just like, please, like I need my legs to work right now. And yeah, and then I just knew I had to finish the wave, and then I ended up like making the finish, like just begging my legs to work, and yeah, they worked, and then I ended up getting the score. It was pretty like surreal.
Literally down to the closing bell.
No, yeah, seriously. Like I was like, wait, I didn't know I won until like 3 minutes after the heat ended, you know? So it was like me just waiting on the beach, like so out of it, like just weird, yeah.
So now you've won Pipeline. You've done reasonably well through the mid part of the tour, and then you win Bells, and so now you've advanced into the second round. You're #1 in the world. Yep. You're the best at this point on the World Surf League, the #1 woman in the world. Could you have ever imagined this 2 years ago?
Yeah, I guess I have to say I'd imagine it, because there wouldn't be another reason that I'd be doing contests and trying to get there if I didn't think that I could do it. So yeah, I mean, I definitely imagined it, but I definitely do think it has come a lot quicker than expected. but I'm not mad about it. So yeah.
Not mad about it. I like that. So how's it feel to be the #1 woman on the tour right now?
It feels amazing. I don't really have any other words.
No, that's perfect. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So it's amazing, and now you're in the second. You're in the second half of the tour where they eliminate a bunch of people. So now where do you go to Tahiti next? Where is the next stop on the tour, and what's the wave called?
Yeah, the next stop on the tour is Tahiti, and the wave's called Chopes.
Yeah. What's that wave like?
It's a pretty scary wave. Yeah, it's perfect and beautiful, but scary.
Deadly?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Now that is also where the Olympics are going to be held, right?
Yeah.
And you're on the Olympic squad, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about how that feels.
Yeah, it feels good.
I mean, so at one point you said, okay, I'd like to be on the tour, and I'd hopefully be #1. But 4 years ago, surfing wasn't even in the Olympics. Now it is. What's it like you're going to be an Olympian. What does that feel like? That's bigger than anything else.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't, I mean, for any of the surfers that are in the Olympics, I wouldn't assume it was like their dream, really, because it wasn't even an option to do, because it wasn't in the Olympics. Surfing was not in the Olympics, so yeah. And for me too, I never dreamed to be in the Olympics because surfing wasn't in the Olympics, and that's what I did. So I was always never really thought about the Olympics as something that I could be able to do, but I always I've always watched the Olympics, and I always thought it was cool. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing that I'm going to be in it. So yeah, it's really prestigious and obviously like a worldwide thing. So it's pretty cool to be in.
Who are your teammates?
My teammates are Caroline, Carissa, John, Florence, and Griffin Galopinto.
And Griffin's just up the coast.
Yeah.
He's #1 on the tour right now as well.
Yep.
How's it feel to have the 2 best surfers in the world in Southern California right now? I mean, that hasn't happened forever.
Yeah, it's cool. Griffin's an amazing surfer, and I feel like he deserves it. So it's pretty cool to see. And we have the same coach too, so we're always like traveling together, and we're always around each other. And he's like, I think what he's doing with surfing is really respectable, and like it's inspiring. So yeah, he's cool.
So now you have a brother, Timo. Is it Timo or Timo?
Timo.
Timo.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's it like surfing with your brother?
It's pretty fun to surf with my brother. We're really like competitive with each other, and we always kind of want to do better than each other. So yeah, we definitely I think we make each other better at surfing for sure, because we just push each other, because whenever we see one of each other do something good, we want to do better. So I feel like he's definitely one of the reasons that I'm really competitive for sure. But yeah, I like surfing them, and I just like surfing with him because I like to watch him surf, because he's has a really good style, and it's pleasing to watch. So
Now he's younger than you, right? How much younger?
1.5 years.
So you guys have always been kind of rivals then, right?
Yeah, we've always been rivals.
That's cool. That's neat. My brother and I are about that far apart. So should we expect to see you at Trestles this year for the World Championship?
Yeah, I would hope. But yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, that's where I'm trying to get, so hopefully.
And so if in fact you do make it to the trestles and end up being number one. You end up closing out the season as the world champ. Has it dawned on you that you would now be the youngest ever surfing champion, beating Kelly Slater's youngest ever world champion? Have you thought of that at all?
I have not, no.
What is that? I mean, Kelly Slater's pretty iconic.
Yeah.
The GOAT. Does that change anything for you, or do you just, you've got your game strategy and you're going with that?
I mean, yeah, I like try not to think about that kind of thing. I kind of just try to do what I do. But I mean, yeah, that would be amazing for sure.
I've listened to a couple other interviews, and your name keeps popping up amongst these interviews consistently. Other young girls on the tour as well, but yours throughout all the ones that I watch, and they're calling you and the younger surfers like you, the women on the tour, the next generation. That you are what surfing is going to be. How does that make you feel to have a world champion like Carissa Moore say you are the new it girl?
I feel like that's just how like anything goes, really. Like there's the best at something, and then the people behind them like learn from them and are inspired by them, and then they become like almost like filling a spot that was like that needs to be filled almost, because they're like kind of graduating out of it. But yeah, I mean, I've always looked up to Carissa and Steph and those girls that were on tour, and I feel like they like did a lot for women's surfing, like showed the world that like women's surfing it like matters. So yeah, just how it goes. I'm pretty pumped that I can be like a part of it, because just even watching it from an outside perspective would be pretty amazing, but the fact that I could kind of be a part of it is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm pretty honored to be where I am.
And you said that the next generation comes on. Well, there's a generation behind you. What would you tell a young female surfer to do, as far as whether it's to love the sport just for surfing, or if she wants to be competitive? What would you tell them?
I would probably say, yeah, I mean the like usual of like just freaking try to have fun, because that's really all that matters. If you're like enjoying what you do, then you're gonna naturally excel in it. But I would probably say for like a girl was in my position at like 12, just younger than me or older than me or whatever position, I feel like try to just like find what works for you rather than what people tell you what will work for you. Like, because you can obviously take what other people tell you and like listen to it, and you can try it, but if it like doesn't work for you, don't try to like force yourself to do it. Like find what makes you enjoy it the most and succeed at the same time, because it's going to be different for everyone. Just how I'll like a different music than you, or I'll like a different food style than you. Like everyone's different, so there's not like a formula to be the best at something, or there's not a formula to live your life good, because it's going to be different for everyone. So just like try different things and figure out what works for you. That's my main one, because I've been trying. I still haven't succeeded in it, or I might not ever, but that's what I've learned, is like that I just try to just do kind of what works for me. And yeah, it's ended up working out. But yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely working out.
Because I don't want to be like telling people to do exactly what I did, because it's going to be different for someone else. So it's like, yeah.
No, I think your message is loud and clear. Be true to who you are.
Yeah.
And good things will come your way if they were meant to be.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Pretty
Cool.
much.
you are an outstanding young lady, and I'm looking
Thank
forward
you.
to watching you on the tour. It's fun to be able to be at work at midnight and as I'm getting off my shift and watching the events in Australia at Margaret River and that kind of stuff. And
Cool.